Welcome to the Heal, Thrive, Dream podcast, where trauma survivors become healthy thrivers. Each month, we'll feature a theme in the trauma recovery and empowerment field. To promote your recovery, healing, and learning how to build dreams, here's your host, Karen Robinson, transformational coach and therapist.
Hi there. Welcome back to the Heal, Thrive, Dream podcast. Today, my guest is extra special. It's someone that I knew way back in the day. Ms. Carol Diaz is our guest today. And she's been visiting my house for a little bit, so I forgot to put her bio in my notes. So what I'm going to do is read her bio from the back of her new release book called Memories of a Survivor. I know it's going to be blurry showing it, but there's a copy of her book. So,
Out of the Darkness with God.
Oh, yes, because that's towards the bottom. Out of the darkness towards God. Okay, Carol, I'm going to read the bio really quick and then we'll start chatting.
Okay.
Carol was born in Michigan and her family left when she was 16. They moved to Arizona where she went to high school. She married young. And she and her husband raised a daughter. She was divorced and married again after her daughter graduated high school. She became a believer at 13 during an Easter service in Michigan. She never really knew about the relationship you could have with Jesus until later in life. Discovering her Jewish roots at 43, when her father told her at one Thanksgiving, she has since been learning about her Jewish roots. After marrying for the second time, she has had the opportunity to live all over the country and visited many foreign countries. Her second husband passed away. She knew she needed to finish this book that God told her to write a few years ago. Carol now lives in Texas, close to her daughter, son-in-law, and 2 granddaughters. So, Carol, you know I'm very excited to see you today.
Yes, you are. I'm excited to see you.
Thank you for being a guest on our podcast. And why do you think we decided to do this together?
I think because I've known you for a long time. You brought me through a lot of things, helped me become a healthy person. And I finished my book and I wanted to try and help other people through what I went through in my life.
So the listener doesn't know yet, but I know that you've been through tremendous, tremendous struggles and that God loves you deeply. What about your struggles are you comfortable in sharing with my audience today?
I can share everything that's in my book. I've been through rape, strangulation, being that was at 39-40. I have been through being molested by my father, molested by some friends of my grandfather's. I've been through cancer. I've been through the death of my late husband. And a lot of women, especially with the rape and the being molested, a lot of women, and I call it in my mature age, they don't talk about it. They're embarrassed. They don't know if anybody will still accept them for what happened. And I want them to know that, you know, Jesus loves you. God loves you. It doesn't matter. And that's one of the main things, that even though my parents didn't love me, they didn't know how to love me, that God still loved me. And it took me a while to figure that out. It took me a while to learn that I have a heavenly Father and He loves me unconditionally, and it doesn't matter what I have done. Everybody sins, everybody does things they're not proud of, they've gone through things, and He still loves them. It's His unconditional love for me that brought me through everything that I have been through. And I want women, especially women that are my age, I'm 71, almost 72, that no matter what you've been through, it's okay. There's other women that have been the same things that you've been through, that they can talk about it and it's okay and they don't have to be ashamed and they can heal. I want them to be able to read my book and know that they can heal.
Yeah. Your healing journey has taken, many years, right? Like, I'm sure it's like anything else. It was up and down and sideways, your journey. Tell me about the pieces that were super helpful. Like, I know your faith is really important to you and you have to lean on God, but tell me about the other ways that you healed. What does that look like?
The other ways I healed was finding someone that I could talk to, that I could throw like a little fit if I wanted to. Why did this happen to me? Everybody asks that question. Why? Why did this happen to me? I didn't understand. I do now. Being able to actually have the courage to continue and to fight. I fought back. I fought coming back and being healed and being healthy. I was healed physically, but I wasn't. I learned at a young age, you can't sit and let trauma and things happen to you. You have to learn to fight back. I just believe that this will not destroy me. This will not cause me to have continual issues. My late husband was the person I could go to, that I could talk to him about it. I didn't really know him when I started to talk to him about it. I'd cry and throw a fit. He was a believer and he didn't judge me. He didn't know me, so he couldn't judge me. And that helped me a lot to realize that there's only one person that can judge me, and that's God.
Yeah. And I know your body had many traumas over the years too that you fought. You've had different illnesses and different conditions, diagnoses over the years. What was the most helpful way to get through all that? Like, did you write? Did you pray? Did you dance? Did you cry? Like, how did you do that?
I actually probably did a little bit of all of that. I went through cancer. I went through being allergic to my port, which threw my body into all kinds of different things. But I learned that if you can be positive and find one good thing every day to be positive about, and you can say, thank you, God, when I went through my rape and my strangulation, it was like, I'm still living, I'm still breathing. One thing I learned also is what was to me before I could go on and continue, I had to learn to forgive. To me, that I was stuck and I didn't want to be stuck. I wanted to be able to live the rest of my life. And to do that, I had to learn to forgive the person that raped me. I had to learn to forgive the people that hurt me, that molested me, and give it over to God. I now just enjoy life. And I try to help other women who've been through things and say, you cannot give up, even if you have a mustard seed of faith, a mustard seed of, I know it's going to be okay. I'm going to fight and I will not let this destroy me. That's what got me through everything that I've been through. It's like, it won't destroy me.
Yeah. I believe after being a survivor myself and studying trauma for years now, over 25 years, I believe that trauma takes such a toll on our body that it leads to a lot of our aches and pains and illnesses. Do you subscribe to that belief or not so much?
I think I do. I do to a point. Because with everything that happened, I was in denial for a very long time. I was in denial about my father. And through the denial of things, even when I was raped, I always talked in third person. I never would put it happened to me. It was somebody else. I was like a journalist telling a story of this person that it happened to. So that caused me to have a lot of anxiety, which I didn't realize that it catches up with you. I would have panic attacks. Never in my life had I ever had a panic attack. Then all of a sudden I'm having panic attacks. I'm having anxiety. And I couldn't figure out why. I didn't know why. And I had a counselor tell me, she said, until you can remember your past, your childhood, and deal with that, she says, it's going to be harder for you to deal with what happened to you. She said, you have to go back. She says, you're actually a 3-time survivor, and you have to go back and clean up your past and deal with your childhood and then deal with what happened to you. So yeah, it causes, I believe it does, it causes at times, I have still a little bit of PTSD, not a lot, but sometimes it's gotten better. But it causes at times you can go into anxiety and panic attacks and you don't know why.
Yeah, it's actually pretty common.
Yeah.
Did you ever have nightmares with all the traumas that you've had, or did you miss that symptom?
No, I went through all of it. I went through the nightmares. I went through, it's when you can look back and laugh at certain things that have happened to you, then you know you're healed. You know that you've gotten through it and you're healing, or you've healed from everything. Mm-hmm. And I used to have nightmares. I would wake up with the same thing happening to me that happened to me, if that makes any sense. It was like I would relive it.
Flashbacks, yeah.
Flashback. I would relive it. And then I would go, okay, this isn't happening. I know when I never went back to the apartment that my rape happened in, but I could not go anywhere, and I couldn't go out after dark. Because once I got out and had to go back into my house after dark, I could not do that. I would always make somebody else go in and make sure it was okay before I could go back into that house, because it happened after dark with me going home. And that took a very long time to get through that. And now it doesn't bother me. I live by myself. It doesn't bother me. And I think that goes back to my faith. And I think the things I ask God sometimes, why? Why did I go through all of this? Why? Where were you, God? Where are you? I would ask sometimes, God, where are you? And now I look back and I realize it was for such a time as this. I finished the book and published the book for now. And sometimes when I look back, I can't blame God all the time. I can't blame other people, because I made bad decisions in my life at times. And it's in my book. It's like, I wasn't willing to say, I know I'm doing things wrong, but I don't care. And I had to face up to the responsibility. It wasn't God. God gives us free will. And it was me who made certain choices that resulted in certain things that happened to me.
Okay. Let me ask you this, though. Had you not been a survivor of childhood trauma, do you think perhaps you would have made different decisions, more healthy decisions, had you felt loved in your childhood home, protected, safe?
Absolutely. Yeah. If I would have been raised in a family that had love, and I knew loved me and had support, my life would have been totally different. Yeah, that made a big difference, because I was always looking for somebody to be a parent to love me. If I felt that if my parents couldn't love me, how could I love myself? And so because of that, I acted out on things that I should not have done because I didn't know how I couldn't love myself because nobody else loved me. And I think that if I would have been raised differently, I would have had a different life.
Yeah. I bet my paycheck on it. Yeah.
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 So one of the
But
things you said to me before podcasting is like, you asked me if I could see the difference in you, like the growth. And I said, yeah, I always saw her in there hiding. What did you think about that statement?
it was a little surprising because I didn't have a lot of confidence. When I first started to see you and know you, I still didn't know how to love me. And I still didn't know who I was. And I did not see in me all the things you saw in me. And so the more I was healing and the more I knew that, yes, there is a person that loves me, it's, I realized now I'm confident. I'm confident in who I am, what I want. But I'm 71 years old. It took me a long time to do that.
Yeah.
But the way I kind of look at it is better late than never. And I'm happy. And now it's like I want to share my story. I want to help other people. And maybe this will. I wanted to really state that you can go through things and you can heal if you want to, if you fight to do it. And you find your faith and you find your belief. And you're strong enough and you get strong enough to say, I accept this or I don't accept this. But that's okay. Whatever I choose to do, it's okay. I don't have to be something or someone that has to please everybody.
Yeah. That was beautifully said.
Thank you.
You know,
I remember being little when I was a kid, and I now realize I had to put two people into one because when I was with my grandparents, I had to be one way, and with parents, I had to be another way, and had to be two individual people to please two individual sets of people. My grandparents, I had things I had there at my grandparents, and I had clothes there, but when I left, I had to take the clothes off, leave the toys, and go home and be a different person. So I had to learn to put those two people into one person. And that's when I found out who I really was and what I wanted.
say more about that, the different parts of you, like the two little girls that you were. Did you like one of them more than the other? How were they different?
With my grandparents, the way it was different, I had toys. I had nice toys. I had nice clothes. I learned basically my morals from my grandmother. I learned how to cook. I learned how to do different things, etiquette from my grandmother. But when I left there, I went home to a home that was a father that molested me when I was 5. I went home to him beating up my mother, and both of them alcoholics. So I was more introverted and more into myself because I didn't know what would happen, of what do as to what would happen. So instead of having to deal with both sides of where I was, my grandparents or my parents, I pretty much went into myself and became very introverted and very non-talkative. I didn't talk a lot. I didn't do, because I was afraid that if I said or did the wrong thing, that something would happen, that it wouldn't be, that I wouldn't be loved, I wouldn't be nice, because I never felt that the parental love that I needed. So I had to realize that I had to combine those two worlds
As an adult.
as an adult. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
I was going to ask you, it sounds like inner child work as an adult. Have you heard of that term?
no.
Yeah. Inner child work is learning how to parent and love yourself.
Yeah. That's what I had to do. I remember seeing a therapist after I was raped, and she just couldn't get through to me. And she was good at what she did. She made me lay down and she made me draw, and she drew an outline of myself. And she said, now you fill in the parts. And I said, what do you mean fill in the parts? And she goes, well, what's inside of your body? What's inside of you? And so I drew my liver and my kidneys and all those parts. And she goes, did you forget something? And I looked at it and I went, no. She goes, yeah, Carol, you left out something. And I said, I don't know what it was. And she left out your heart. Your heart. And that's when she knew I had to heal my childhood in my past before I could heal my present and combine me to make one person and to have a future. Because I didn't know, basically, I didn't know how to love, really. And I didn't know how to accept love.
And how did that impact your future relationships? I know you got lucky the first guy you saw, he was a knight in shining armor.
I was married twice. My first husband, he was tall and handsome, and yeah, you're right. I guess he was basically my knight in shining armor, but he had his issues, his problems. He was an alcoholic, and I was very young and had my daughter right after we were married. And I still didn't know. I knew I wanted to take care of him, and I knew that I knew I loved my daughter, and I knew how to love her, but I didn't really know.
Wait. You didn't have a good parenting, so how did you know how to love her? I don't get it.
Well, for my way of, it was like I took good care of her. We were like two kids actually kind of growing up, but I made sure she had food and clothes, and I made sure I didn't yell at her, and I always gave her the confidence she needed, that she was always doing things right. It's okay, don't worry, you spilt the milk on the floor. It's fine, don't worry about it. It's just milk. It'll wipe, it'll clean up. And so I knew how I wanted to be with her because of how my parents were with me, and I didn't want her to have that same experience, I guess. Yeah.
A lot of survivors tell me they knew how to parent their children just by doing the opposite of what their parents did.
Exactly. It's like I didn't drink around her. I didn't, and I didn't smoke. And it was like, and I started to, when she was a little bit older, started to take her to church. And I wanted her to know, that's one thing my grandmother did with me, is she took me to church at 5. And so I knew God. So I started taking her to church. My husband worked all the time, and he didn't really know. I don't think my way of loving was, okay, if it doesn't work, you go find somebody else. That's what my parents did. My mom was married 6 times, my dad 4 or 5 times. And so if this one didn't work out, you always had one in the wings, and you went to the other person. And I didn't know how to stay and communicate and work through. So, yeah, and I never learned how to do that. But I know I didn't want my daughter to grow up in that environment. and I know I didn't want to do that. Because of my faith, I didn't want a divorce. I just tried to make it work with my first husband. And I think, and because and I don't, honestly, I don't really know why we were divorced. We are very close. We are best friends now. And I'm close and best friends with his wife now. But I haven't gone back to ask him really why. Because I don't remember. I don't know. And I'm not sure really at this point matter to me, because he's moved on, I've moved on, and we're still close. So it's like, I asked myself, does it really matter? And maybe someday I'll ask him. I don't know. He knows I lost a lot of memory when I was strangled. And so I don't really know, does it matter? I just wanted to be healed and whole and move on. And with my second husband, my late husband, he helped me do that. And I think, and I'm still, it's funny because I'm still learning what it is or how to be a wife. It sounds funny and it sounds strange, but I see these.
Rick is smiling down on us right now.
Yeah.
I finally got through to her.
Yeah. No, I was caring, loving and stuff, but I never learned how to communicate through the tough times, because everybody has ups and downs and tough times. But I didn't know how to work through those things. And so with a lot of reading,
I was just going to say, and you married someone who knew exactly what to do.
Sure. It's debatable.
He had his own traumas. Yeah.
He had his own traumas and his own issues. But from talking to therapists, it's like till you heal, you kind of gravitate towards the same personalities, I guess. And I think if I could go back, and I don't like to use that word, because to me, yesterday is gone, today is here, and tomorrow is the future. And I don't want to dwell on the of woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's what can I do now to make it better? What can I do now to continue and find someone and have a good relationship? Because I'm really kind of serious about doing it right. I want to do it right. That sounds funny, but it's like, okay, I learned all this stuff and I'm healed, and there's certain things still I need to work on, but it's like, God, I'm ready. I got this. I want to do it right this time. I don't know. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it's actually very beautiful. And when you talk about it, you kind of glow.
Yeah.
So it's just beautiful to see.
Yeah, it's like I'm ready to. I confronted my past and put it behind me. I have prayed a lot. I have read a lot. Had therapy, and you helped. And now I'm ready to find someone and do it right, and just love somebody the way that I know a person can and should be loved. And I know now that I can. There are men out there that are that way, and I'm healed enough that I don't gravitate to someone who's.
And I'm happy to offer the service of interviewing any potential dating partners.
Oh, thank you. We might do some Zooming, Karen. We're going to Zoom talk to her. Because it's like I'm actually I can say the first time I'm actually, and it's been a while, but I can say I'm actually excited about life. I'm excited about what's happening, the next chapter, what's coming next. It's like, I think it's like I said, maybe biologically I'm 71, mentally, maybe not so much. Maybe I'm not so much that way. I want to be at some point in time, want to be a kid. I want to be the kid that never got to be a kid. I want to do the things, amusement parks, and it's okay to do those things. It's okay
Absolutely. Yeah.
to have the fun. It's okay to be a kid. It was never before growing up okay to be a kid. And
I think being playful and childhood wonder is a huge part of healing.
yeah, and now I'm not at all as introverted, maybe not at all as I used to be. It's like I can actually talk to people now, and I can have fun and talk to strangers, and gee, it's okay, and have a conversation, and it's like, gee, they have nice things to say, and it's okay to do that. But I was determined I was not going to let it destroy me. I was not going to let my past destroy me. And
It didn't win.
It did not win.
Mhm.
It did not win. And that's the first thing I tell women. A lot of women have gone through some of the same things that I went through, and it has stopped them from being who they are and who they've wanted to be. And the first thing that I had to decide was, it will not win. I will not let it destroy me. Because I saw people and I knew women that had it all together, that it seemed all together. Nobody has it all
Right.
together. But I saw them being happy, and I saw them being productive. And I said, I want to be that way. I want to be happy. I want to be productive. I want to be not ashamed and afraid of who I was.
Ooh, I hate to interrupt that train of thought, but I want us to circle back to the book. Okay, so tell me how God told you it was time to write your story. I know you told me before the podcast,
Yeah.
but tell me again for our listeners.
Okay, I had been talking to my daughter, said maybe I should write a book. Everybody said, write it down, you'll heal. Everybody tells you that, oh, do a journal, you'll heal from it. And so I talked to my daughter about it, and I said, oh, okay. And we went to church one day, and they had a guest speaker, a missionary from another country, I think Mexico. And towards the end of the service, she said, everybody who wants prayer, come up. And at the time I was separated from my late husband. And I said, all right, I'm going up for prayer. Come on, Pixie, you're going with me. My daughter's name is Pixie. I said, come on, let's go up and do this together. So she said, okay, Mom. So I went up, and the woman turned around and she looked at me and she pointed her finger at me and she said, write the book. And I had never met her. And that's when I knew God told me, write the book. God's the one who told me, write the book. And I started it. I got interrupted a lot of times. And then my late husband died. I said, I have to finish the book. So when I found a house, moved into my house, I started it. And about almost 3/4 of the way through, I fell and broke both of my elbows and my wrist. And I said, oh, no, this is not going to happen. I said, I will finish this book. It might be a little delayed. I will finish this book. And when I was able, one letter at a time and one finger at a time, Sometimes I would work on it. I said, you will not destroy me. You will not stop this from happening. And so I finished it. So, because it's not
And,
gonna, you're not gonna beat me.
and how did it get picked up by a publishing company? How did that happen?
Well, I saw a little ad on Trinity Broadcasting Network, and so I sent in some pages of it, and I thought, again, security's, I guess, coming out a little bit, and I said, well, I don't know if it's, what anybody's going to think of it or how they're going to think of it, but I went ahead and I sent some pages in, and a week later, I got an email saying they wanted my book. They wanted to publish my book, because they thought it would be good for healing, for people who needed healing and how they could heal. And so I finished it and put it out. And from the responses that I'm getting, it has done what I hoped it would do, and that's to help people heal. I've had some women come back and say, I never write in my book, but I highlighted stuff because that's me. That's me. I did that. I had that happen to me. That's me. And I said, well, hopefully you'll heal from it. I've learned how to navigate the bad, the good, and come out on top. And I'm still, you have ups and downs in life, but now I know and and know how to navigate the down part. And I don't let myself get down, because I know it only lasts for a certain amount of time, and I know how to navigate out of it.
So what's next for you, Carol, after this book? What's happening next? What's the plan? Besides find a wonderfully godly, amazing partner. Besides that.
Yeah, besides, I don't know. I feel God will tell me what he wants me to do next. I totally have trust in him, and I know he'll show me where to go next. I had questions when my husband died about why he died. He died of COVID, and I knew 1,000 people were praying for him. We know people all over the world, and I knew that they were all praying for him. And it was like, God, we don't even have a house because we just moved. Why is this happening? What happened? What happened? This wasn't supposed to happen. And I truly felt God said, nobody asked what Rick wanted. His name was Rick. And I felt that God said, nobody asked what he wanted, and I'll take care of you. And I said, okay, that's all I need to know, because of what my husband did, that he would not have been happy if he recovered, he would have been in a chair with an oxygen tank on the rest of his life. And that would have made him miserable, and he wished that he would have been dead. And so I knew that. And I said, okay, that was his choice. That's what he wanted. He's happy where he's at. So for me,
go ahead, finish. Please finish your thought.
Okay. And so for me, I'm okay with that, because God answered my question and God's taken care of me. There's been little things that have come up and said, okay, God, I can't do this. How do you do this? I don't know how to do this. And he's either brought somebody into my life that's taking care of it, or he showed me how to do it. So what's next for me? Wherever God leads me, I don't know. I want to talk to women and let them know they don't have to be ashamed. They can heal. They don't have to be embarrassed, because being raped is not their fault. Being molested is not their fault. It's the evil person that's doing it, and they've done nothing wrong. There's nothing to be ashamed of.
think that's where we should end. I have lots to say, but we'll be here all day and all night. Maybe there's a take 2 in our future.
Maybe there is.
Thank you so much for visiting today, for being a guest on my podcast, for the gift of your book. I will be reading it later today and writing a review for you. And anyone interested in purchasing Carol's book, Memories of a Survivor, Out of Darkness with God. Thank you so much, Carol.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening in today. Please join us next week, same day and time. Also, I would love for you to check out my website, healthrivedream.com.